Hey everybody, it's Teal coming at you tonight with another segment in this series on how we avoid crowds at Disney World. These are just some of our family's best tips. We've been to Disney a few times, we obviously love it, and we love helping others and kind of sharing our best tips with them so they can go on to have great trips with their families as well. So one of my favorite quotes is from Benjamin Franklin, and it is when you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And that is such a powerful quote, and it can be applied in so many serious aspects of life, but it can also be applied to a Disney trip. Now, there's so many different approaches on how people plan Disney trips and personalities, and I totally get that. And there may be some people that are more stop and smell the roses kind of people, and other people who are more diehard commando, do or die style. I tend to lean more on the planning side. I like to kind of have a plan in mind, but with a little bit of the stop and smell the roses mixed in, just for my sanity. I don't like to be too tied down, but I want to share some of our tips for how we have a plan every day at Disney and how it helps us avoid the crowds. So we've already discussed the importance of knowing where you're going to be each day in your trip. As meticulous as that sounds, it really does help if your priority is avoiding crowds. So one thing that really helps is plan to arrive early and stay late. Now, I will admit, I'm hard-pressed to call a Disney trip a vacation because so much of it is a trip for us. We do try to incorporate some rest times in the middle there to kind of relax, but it is a trip, especially if you're trying to hit the highlights. So, you know, even though you want to kind of fall in the trap and say, I'm on vacation, I'm going to sleep in and relax, which is totally fine if that's what you want to do. But if you want to avoid the crowds, you need to plan to get up early and be at whatever park you're going to go to that day. Be there before it opens. I would say at least 30 minutes before it opens. You want to be there for what they call rope drop. That's when you know, I guess I've never actually seen them drop a rope, but that's when they open up the gates and people disperse through the park. That's kind of like the golden hour for you to kind of get some stuff done, because although it might seem like there's a lot of people there right at the beginning, they all kind of disperse, and you really have a good hour and a half to just do things back to back. We love that time to get important things done, especially if there's like a major ride that we might not get to later, or we don't have a fast pass. I'll get into that more a little bit later. We want to do it first thing in the morning so there's no line and no crowd. That is our strategy. So another thing in the mornings is it's really easy to fall into the trap of going into the stores and going shopping, and if that's your thing, that's totally fine, but chances are that stuff is still going to be there, so just move on past. Don't fall in the trap. There's going to be tons of photographers to take your picture. We like stopping and having our picture made, but we don't have to stop at every single one, especially if we're on a mission. So kind of keep that in mind if you're going to take advantage of that early morning time. So I mentioned early morning, also the late evening hours. Crowds kind of go down a little bit, and it's a little bit slower pace. You can get a little bit more done. So one thing that helps me is I have used a touring schedule. I use a site called touringplans.com. I'll get all this up on the blog. They actually have a free version of the site and they have a paid version of the site. I have tried both. I don't think you have to pay necessarily for the membership. If you get it, it's like $12 or $13 for a year, I think, and there's some really good resources with it, but I don't think you have to have it. But you can go onto that site and actually download touring plans, and they have a few free ones available that could be fit your family's needs. So they might have some for small children or some for adventure seekers, and I have a couple other resources where I found some for princess lovers, things like that. So there's lots of good free touring plans out there available. Touringplans.com, if you do the paid membership, which I said is not very much, you can also do a customizable touring plan where you can really go through the attractions, plug in what you want to see, how long you plan to be there, and it will map out what you need to do in which order. It's a little meticulous. I have tested it out and it does work. Our last trip we went a little bit more laid back. I kind of had in my mind what we wanted to do. I followed a loose version of a touring plan and it still worked great. So I don't think you have to pay for all the fancy bells and whistles, but if you're the type that likes to follow a checklist and follow a schedule, it's great. And they have an app too that I really recommend. So another great tip is to eat at odd times because people want to eat at normal times, just like home, right? They want to eat lunch at lunchtime and dinner at dinner time. Well, if you want to avoid the crowds, try not to go during those time periods. Try not to go between noon and 2 p.m. or 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. because that's when everybody's going to be eating. So that's kind of like your golden opportunity. Go ride some rides, do some other things because crowds are going to be down. Try to eat before or after that time period. And it kind of works to your benefit because not only will the lines be shorter, but also your choices for where you're going to eat will be greater when you're not within those really crowded windows. Also, take breaks. I think, you can really run yourself ragged, sticking to a plan and feeling like, you have to stick to it or else. Incorporate some time to take some breaks and be flexible. One of the things that really works well for our family is we have figured out that we operate a little bit better with a midday break. So typically in the early afternoon when crowds are really high, we will take a break and go back to our resort or just have some downtime somewhere to kind of relax. We've gotten a lot done in the morning, so we've been busy doing that. We're tired, we're ready for a break to kind of go back and refresh or eat or whatever we're going to do, and then we hit it again in the evening, come back and get some more stuff done in the evening. So those are just a few of my tips for ways to tackle the park. You kind of have to have a plan of attack. It's as meticulous as you want to make it, but as long as you have some kind of plan, I promise you it's going to go a lot more smoothly and you're going to avoid the crowds a little bit more. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We're going to talk some more tips about some specific things that you can do in the park every day to help avoid those crowds more. Thanks for watching.